always frightened of classical music, and I never wanted to listen to it because it was Beethoven and Tchaikovsky and sort of big words like that, and Schoenberg. You know, I always thought...
Paul McCartney.
I mean, something like a taxi driver the other day had some sheet music of a Mozart thing. And I said, what's that, you know? And he said, oh, I said, oh, that's the high-class stuff. You won't like that. He said, no, you won't like that. And I said, well, what is it, you know? He said, oh, no, you won't like it. You know, it's high-class, that. It's very high-class, highbrow. And that kind of way, I always used to think of it. I used to think, well, you know, that's very clever, all that stuff. And it isn't, you know, it's just exactly what's going on in pop at the moment. Pop music is the classical music of now. People just take our music and, you know, in a line, and we just sort of say, yeah, she was just 17. And they read everything into that, you know. So she was a 17-year-old nymphomaniac working on the streets of Broadway. But, you know, what we meant is she's just 17. But it might mean all the other as well. I don't know, you know. I've no idea if there's any Aeolian cadences and, you know, miasmic climaxes and all of that. I mean, we're the last people to know about our songs, because the pop world's never heard the pop world as such. Because we can't, you know, it's like if you look at a snapshot of yourself, you're looking at what tie you were wearing, or whether you were looking nice in the snapshot. You know, but anyone else would just take the snapshot and say, oh, that's good, that's a snapshot of Tony, you know, that's nice. We really just always think of ourselves as just happy little songwriters, just little rockers, you know, just playing in a rock group. But it gets more important than that after you've been over to America and you've sort of got knighted.
We just don't see as much of George as we used to do. He's away so much.
George Harrison's mother.
Of course, as soon as he comes back, he always visits us, or we go down and visit him, you know. We're still very close to him. I get letters now from most parts of the world, quite a lot from Japan and, of course, America. And some of the Iron Curtain countries started now to write. I get maybe up to 200, 250 a week. George says, I think you're really more popular than I am now, Mum, you know, and he sees all the letters, and he has a good laugh about it. And especially when he reads some of them, they say, dear Mum, you know, he says, who's this then, you know?
It's more fun in the record if there's a few sounds that you don't really know what they are, and really they're just instruments, only something happens on here, you know. I couldn't tell you what, because we have a special man who sits here and goes like this.
Ringo Starr.
And the guitar turns into a piano or something, you know. And then you may say, why don't you use a piano? Because the piano sounds like a guitar.
In charge of the Beatles recordings, George Martin.
You can cut, you can edit, obviously you can slow down or speed up your tape, you can put in backward stuff, you can put in electronic sounds which you can possibly reproduce live. You can use combinations of instruments which are completely unbalanced, but you can make them balanced. You can put a very soft flute against a huge brass chord and still make it sound loud. And then cut up the tape and really well threw it up in the air until it settled down the ground and join them all up together. So it just became like a patchwork quilt. And this is the kind of thing you can do on recording, which you obviously couldn't possibly do it live, because it is, in fact, making up music as you go along.
And when we were touring, and when it was at a sort of peak of hysteria, instead of just thinking, oh, that's nice, I mean, we could have just thought, aha, click, you know, let's use this, and for evil, you know. But there's no desire in any of our heads to sort of take over the world, you know. That was Hitler, that's what he wanted to do. There is, however, a desire to get power in order to use it for good.
And the manager came to me and said, the cripples are ready.
Derek Taylor, Beatles publicist.
I said, what are they ready for? The Beatles? He said, oh, yes. I said, what do they want? He said, well, they can't move that much, so maybe if the Beatles patted them, that would be enough. I said, I mean, lay their hands on them. He said, yeah, put it like that. So I went in and I said, there's a dozen paraplegics waiting for you in wheelchairs. So, good enough, they trooped out, touched them, grinned, and said, you know, see you again.
The Maharishi.
The whole world movement has to be a cooperative enterprise, no?
I don't know what level he's on, but we had a nice holiday in India and came back rested to play businessman.
John Lennon.
We were there 4 months, or George and I were.
It
We
was
lost
good,
13 pounds and we looked a day older.
See, in the midst of all these activity and the world's attention and interest for transcendental meditation, I don't get a moment to think of silence.
If you've got power, you've got to use it for the good. Because like everyone else, we read the papers, we go through all the things that most people go through. So if everyone wants to say a thing at a certain time, it's handy being a songwriter. You know, you can put your finger on it, like a yellow submarine. You know, that was lucky, though.
As we live a life of ease, every one of us has all we need. Sky of blue and sea of green in our yellow submarine.
The big lie is probably the age lie, and it's told for financial gain, and I think that's wrong. It's not told, you see, to help the group or to convey that in the group which is meaningful. And it's not told to keep the public informed. It's told to make extra money.
And there are those who say that pop music can only express now, as if now were different from previous times, either in moral stature or in musical achievement.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Our guests for tonight are the committee, Dion, Jennifer Warren,
Right.
really a great new singer, and a special guest star, Donovan. Tommy also has a special guest, too, and he'd like to introduce him right now.
That's right, I have a Beatle.
Yeah, but it's not the kind of Beatle you would expect it to be.
It's the kind of Beatle that you, I think you hoped it would be. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. George Harrison. George, I don't know, all of you, I think, saw the, several weeks ago we had on, your people did,
Oh, Hey
Hey
Jude.
Jude and Revolution.
We thought, Tommy and I both thought that Hey Jude was the best presentation that we've ever seen of the Beatles. And we're glad it was
Yes,
on our
so
show.
are we. Have you met my brother Dick? Let me introduce, this is Tommy, and this is my brother Dick.
How do you do?
Hi, Dick. Enjoyed your work.
You look different in person.
Yeah, so do you.
Yeah.
It's all the makeup, too much makeup.
Do you have something important?
Something very important to say on American television.
You know, a lot of times we don't have opportunity of saying anything important because it's American television. Every time you say something and try to say something important, they
Clap, 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 clap. Clap, clap, clap. Cue the lines. Well, whether you can say it or not, keep trying to say it.
That's what's
You
important.
get that? Yeah. That is very important. Cue. Just a minute.
Wait a second.
Okay, cue the clap now.